Mr. Chris Galvan. Thank you for being here, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Bro, so one of the many, many, many great qualities that you have about you is your ability to make other people feel comfortable about themselves, man. And I love that about you.
Thanks,
and
man.
no, I'm serious. Like, you just have this genuine way about yourself. And you got some people, you hang out with some friends and you almost have to kind of have this defensive mode about themselves and like, oh God, what is this guy going to say about me?
Yeah.
But you actually are so authentic as a human being. Sincerely, bro, I really appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
And I'm just grateful to have you or me be a part of your circle, if anything.
Oh, I mean, I'm a part of yours.
No. Where do you get that from, though? Because you've always been like very transparent in life, on social media, obviously.
Yeah.
You're you, right?
Yeah.
Your ups and downs that you've somewhat showcased, just on social media. Where do you get that from?
I think when I was younger, thank you for the compliment, for just sharing that. I appreciate it. Any kind of time about edifying someone or just encouraging someone, it's a big deal, right?
For sure.
But when I was younger, I think I was in 6th grade, we had not a contest, but we had like a project, and I did a video. And so my video was like how to play basketball or something. But I won the project, like I was the best project. But it's because I kind of went out of the normal, out of the box thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always liked sharing things on video, right? Mm-hmm. And then that translates into, well, what do you share? How do you share things? And then I just got into, when I was, I guess, in my mid-30s, I got into how to be authentically you and how to connect with people. And I think I just obviously naturally love to connect with people anyway.
Right.
But I feel like sharing what's going on in your life or my life is more of a disarming, break down the walls first move that you make, and allows other people to be like free to just be themselves.
Right.
So instead of posturing or being a little standoffish or what have you, I just say everything that's going on. Basically, there's some things my wife's like, hey, you don't have to talk about everything, and you don't have to take a video of every part of our house because it's not the clean, whatever. And we got young kids. Yeah. So there's some things that I have to like watch and make sure I don't do. Right. And now my kids are like, are you going to put that on social media? Like every time I film them, they're like, are you going to put that on social media? Like, I don't know.
Your kids look like natural people, like in front of the camera as well. Like they have this kind of genuine, just like happiness to them, because they see that obviously from you. And
and my daughter is like just like me in that sense. Like she's really like witty and funny. Not that I am, but she has a lot of that same stuff. My son's a little quieter, but I think we're all given certain gifts. We're all given certain personality traits. We're all given certain talents and passions. And as I'm getting older, I'm figuring out mine. And I'm just like, this is kind of who I am, and this is what I like to do. And life's too short to try to be someone you're not, especially in my industry in real estate. A lot of people fake it till you make it a big thing. Right. And I'm just like, life's too short to fake it.
I think people see that, right? When you're not genuine and you just kind of have this facade, I think people can see that. And like the way you've encouraged me, honestly, like we met 12 years ago, around maybe 10, 12 years ago through your brother at his gym, obviously. But I don't think you and I actually started getting closer until maybe about 4 years ago, golf and stuff like that. But really much closer here more recently, obviously. But just like with I had a little episode with me chipping my tooth a couple of days ago, and I've learned here to just kind of just roll with the punches, like they say. And at first, when I chipped my tooth, I was kind of like mad and I was upset. And it's more like my insecurities, right? But literally, bro, like I promise you, it took me 2-3 minutes to kind of decompress. And I said, what would Chris do? I promise you. And when I texted the group and Joe was like, saying, oh man, use these taglines and this and that, kind of flipped the script, right? And it's refreshing because like, too many times you stress about things that happen in your life, and maybe it's me getting older. Maybe I'm pushing 50. You get to a point where you just said, F it. You know what? It is what it is. And I wish I was kind of maybe was more self-aware as I was maybe younger. But really kind of you rubbed that off on me, and not being afraid anymore of just it is what it is.
Dude,
It was what was kind of cool. I did this video right on Facebook, and what I liked was I got a few calls from some friends of mine that saw the video, a couple that I hadn't talked to in a while, and they were like, "Hey, man, that's so funny," and this and that, and they started sharing some insecurities. They started talking about these. Like, you're right. We should just kind of get past this and not really be so self-conscious. And I'm glad that that's a helpful thing, and I think that's where you flip the script, right, and turn your negative into a positive. Correct. Dude, so you have always been able to find a way. You had a kind of viral moment a few years back with FedEx.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you were going to bring this up.
I love that, dude. Tell me that story again, dude.
So, if anyone ever wants to go, you can Google.
You could have gone two different routes there.
I know.
Right?
And honestly, I was really busy that weekend when it happened, but I was kind of too dumb to capitalize on it, and maybe that's good because it was a big distraction.
But your point real quick is that you weren't thinking that because you're being you. You're like, oh, how can I, profit off of this? No,
I wasn't. I never did. And I look back and I'm like, well, it was a good learning experience.
Kyle may not know the story about it.
I don't know if Kyle knows it. He knows it. So I think it was 2015 or 16. I got locked into a FedEx office, so you're back when you could go sit. I think they can still sit at a computer. I don't know.
They changed it now.
I think after that incident. But you sit at these desks and you could use their computer. You can use yours, and you can just use a computer and print things. So I was sending all the print jobs to the front, right? Mm. I had to print out a bunch of things that night, but I came in like 10 minutes before it closed on a Saturday night. And the employees forgot about me. They walked out the back of the store.
Locked the front?
They locked the front, but I was like, I guess I had headphones on. I'm just working, right? Getting stuff done, cranking it out. I got a few minutes left. And they never turned lights off or anything. So it never physically looked like the store was closed.
Right.
They left and I'm sitting there. I guess I was on headphones, so I didn't notice anything. And I print like literally like 40 print jobs. I had all these scorecards to print out. Right. I went up and I was just like, hello, and then I realized like no one's there. And I didn't want to walk in the back, but I went to the front door and it was locked. And I was like, they all left. Mm-hmm. So from there, I think I just went live on Facebook. I went straight to Facebook. Instagram you couldn't do live then. I don't think TikTok was around or anything. So I was just like, hey, I'm locked in a FedEx. I have no idea what just happened, blah, blah, blah. And I guess people started sharing it, and someone from the news, like a news reporter, local, knew they were friends online, so they saw it. It got shared a bunch, and then I got a bunch of DMs. Hey, I'm so-and-so with the news, would you be willing?
This is all like as you're there.
This is like an hour or two later, right? Mm-hmm. Like it kind of took a little bit of time. I finally got out, and that's a whole thing. And you can watch the whole thing on Inside Edition has
what?
No, I got interviewed at Inside Edition.
No way. Was this before TMZ? Because TMZ probably would have been on top of it.
No, I'm not popular enough or celebrity enough to be on TMZ. But Inside Edition did a whole interview with me, and I think on YouTube it's 2-point-something million views.
Oh my gosh,
that video, yeah. Wow. So it's like man gets whatever locked in FedEx. So that was, if you want to watch that, you can. But
it's hilarious.
What I learned from that was that I just took a time where it was a little crazy, a little stressful, because I had stuff to do. Like I had an event the next day I had to be ready for, and I just made the best out of it.
Right.
So I kind of tend to see, if I have time, I tend to see whatever's happening in my life is like, what opportunity is this for me to either share it with someone in a positive way, in a funny way, spin it, or just like, all right, what did I learn from this and what can I take, moving forward and be better, whether as a person or a husband or a worker or whatever.
Right.
Well, so it's just this kind of like a natural thought process I have. I don't really get down on myself too much or feel like a victim.
Right.
Things happen and you just move on and you just kind of turn into a funny thing.
It's just a great mindset, right? Yeah. You have to have that in anything in life, right? And that was during the Trinity competitions, right? I remember you were kind of really, really strong about that and had it for a few years.
I had for 10 years, yeah. I owned an event company that ran CrossFit competitions throughout Texas and the United States.
Do you miss that or?
Not at all.
No?
Now, I miss the people that I worked with closely, but the time of it, I really loved it, but I was in a job at the time that I didn't like. So for me, that was a very big escape.
Right.
I got into real estate in 2019 and I started I really enjoyed that, and I still do. And so the events started to symbolize more of time away from my family, energy away from everything else.
Right.
It was somewhat stressful to put on an event with a couple thousand people in it. Right. You're just talking about a lot of stuff.
Right.
And we were back in 2020, 21, and 22 when the market for real estate was really, really crazy. So I was running an event company, and I was in the middle of probably the craziest market that's ever happened in the last 30 years.
Right.
And I have 2 young children and a wife. So that was a very difficult time, and I was out of balance, and it wasn't the best for my family or me personally. And so leaving that and selling the company was a very easy decision, very easy.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to sell it.
Right.
I would have given it away, or I would have shut it down, or I would have paid someone to take it. That's how much of a physical and emotional.
Right. You were ready to kind of cut.
I was ready. So if I didn't sell it, if I didn't sell $1 and I just walked away, I still saw it as a net gain because I had all this time. But at least someone took it. They saw the business opportunity.
Right.
Took it.
Well, and I think to your point, the family part of it is so important, and you're obviously a big family man. Yeah. And I'm assuming, because I don't know your parents well, but that your parents have been obviously a big influence in your life and showing kind of that structure. And you've got a twin brother. Obviously. Do you have any sisters?
No, it's just us two. Yeah.
Tell me how your dynamic is with your family. I mean, for me, what I've for my mom and dad, the biggest thing that I got from them, besides the fact that, and my parents have been divorced since I was 5 years old.
Got it.
So I didn't grow up with a kind of,
nuclear family.
Right. Yeah. But you know what, man? They showered me with love. They're just very reassuring at every moment of my life. Yeah. But they have this strong work ethic. And for me, that was one of the biggest things that I benefited from them, right? And but just and that's all I've known, right? So and you could always kind of go 2 different ways in life, right? So, my parents are divorced, so I guess I have to do this or that. But my biggest privilege, I guess, would say is that, man, they just loved on me every time, and
that's
for sure, obviously, I carry that with my kids and my family too. And it obviously sounds like you've had a really good relationship with your family as well.
Yeah, my mom actually called me right before I couldn't answer it, but sorry, Mom. But my parents are both still alive. They're still married. Been married for 50. I think this year will be 53.
Awesome.
So all I know is healthy. Mom and dad are married and around, and they work through everything. And by no means are they. No marriage is
for sure.
It's not always just happy.
Right.
They put in a lot of work. They put in a ton of work to get the marriage to stay. You live with someone long enough, you don't like everything they do. And my wife could attest to that. There's things that I probably annoy her with, but we made it. Emily and I celebrated 13 years ago, awesome. 13 years of marriage, a few days ago.
Congratulations.
But thank you. When we did pre-engagement counseling, so we went to our pastor, and I was in a men's Bible study at the time, and I was talking to basically my spiritual father. His name was Phil. He passed, but he said, I think that I feel that you should get pre-engagement counseling, because pre-marriage counseling is you've already kind of decided that you're getting married and you haven't gone through any of the questions about this person and how you're going to raise kids and how you're going to deal with finances. So you've already made the decision to get married, and then you do the counseling, and then you find out things that aren't necessarily that jive. You still feel like you have to get married to them. So pre-engagement is smarter because you're like, should I even get down on one knee, get a ring out, and do all that stuff? So when we did that, we decided that we were more committed to the marriage than we were to each other. So yes, 100% committed to my marriage.
You were like, all you were thinking about was this this ceremony, this tradition of kind of this binding of this marriage, but then you weren't really paying attention to the relationship.
No, so sorry if I said that. We wanted to be more committed to our marriage.
Oh, gotcha. Instead of to each other.
Yes, because your feelings about each other can go up and down.
Sure.
Like you love them,
right?
But sometimes they annoy you, and sometimes it's really difficult. But when you're committed to the marriage, not the wedding, not the ceremony, but the marriage, then you're like, well, I've already committed to this marriage. So what do I need to do to work on the marriage staying intact? It's I need to do love on my wife more. I need to humble myself more. I need to then the love tends to come a little bit easier because you're working more on staying married. What do I need to do to stay married? And that usually is taking a long look in the mirror and figuring out where you need to make changes
for sure
and allow God to change. So again, we're committed to each other.
Right.
We love each other, but there are days in every marriage that you're roommates or you're passing, ships in the wind or in the night. Right. So our thought process is more like we're in this because we promised God that we would stay married. And what do we need to do that? And that has been what has gotten us through the things, but also been like the main foundation point for us to like really keep falling in love with each other and keep sticking with it.
I think the little things that sometimes we, sweat about, like they say, don't sweat the small stuff, is unfortunately some of the stuff that kind of hinders the marriages from growing and building. And I've learned throughout the years, trust me, I am not perfect. I've been married 25, going on 26 years. That's
awesome, man.
And high school sweetheart, and been blessed, and it's something that's been, I feel like we're the anomaly, right? You get people that family, friends that, unfortunately go through this road where there's divorce. And my biggest thing is like, not only do we love each other and, show respect for each other, and then we both have to learn to just, we are who we are at this point. I mean, I feel like some people say that you can't change. I actually disagree. I feel like I can change, especially as I've gotten a little bit more intimate with God and kind of working on myself to be a better person to my wife, right? Or to my kids.
Correct.
But the other thing that drives me is just being a good example to my kids, right? Showing them what a healthy relationship is, showing them what respect is and, how to love on your spouse and not get so bent out of shape about the small stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's hard, man. It's hard when you're stressed. Let's say you come home, you own a business, I own a business. You come home and payroll's due and this customer didn't pay you or you didn't come through on the job or whatever. And you're coming home with a bunch of stress.
Right.
And then something your kids or your wife have done for years. Sure. And that's just the trigger and whatever. It is hard to keep all that in check and perspective, but humbling yourself, taking time away, we talk about prayer, meditation and spending time with God, like that helps the ups and the downs, be a little bit more stable, right? Because you're you're breaking away from all that. But it's hard. It's hard, especially when you run a business and you have a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders.
So now that you've transitioned to the real estate market, how's that journey been for you? I know you said you started 2019, 20. It's been 4 or 5 years. I think within a short 4 or 5 years, there's been a big roller coaster.
Huge roller coaster.
How has that been for you?
It's been it's been life changing. To have an opportunity to do what I'm doing. I've always wanted to be my own, own a business. I never really liked corporate America. I don't like imposing a bunch of your rules and people that are in some other state telling you how you need to talk to the customer. Stuff like that just bothers me. Right. So I'm not the best employee ever. I'm good. I'm in that sense, but
it's not a bad thing because
I'm kind of unemployable. I don't really like that. I need to figure out my thing. I need to be super creative, but real estate has allowed me to be really creative, not only with marketing, video, my messaging and things like that, but obviously how I interact with my clients. Right. Everyone talks to their clients differently. Everyone, some people are I only text or I'll call you. I do things my way. And I tell my clients now from the beginning, this is how I do it. We're going to do it this way, but my goal is serving you at the highest level. So it's the freedom to do that the way that I have the gifts and the passion. So it's
it's natural for you.
It's natural. So if I were to do something that was unnatural, I can only do that for so long because I'm faking it.
Right. So
I've just at the beginning you kind of do things because the trainers tell you, oh, you need to say this and you need to say that. And then after a while, I'm like, I'm not going to say that. That's not me. Right. Doesn't sound like me. That's not, So I don't do a lot of things that other realtors do when it comes to getting clients. I don't do really many open houses. I don't door knock. I don't cold call. I don't just do that. I don't
Most of it's just referral based.
I don't like rejection.
Right.
I hate
that is true.
I hate rejection.
That's part of sales though, right?
Yeah, and I just don't like it.
Right.
So what I rather do is create content and have fun.
Right.
And let the long game play out and let people come to me and say, "Hey, I've been watching you.
Right.
I've been interviewing you for the last 2 years, watching you, and now I've chosen you."
Yeah.
And that is more my style. I'd rather draw people in with what I do than go out and force someone to come work with me.
That's so smart though, because that's like the farmer's mindset, right? Yeah. So you go in, sometimes one of the things that I belong to a networking group, and we have that giver's gain mindset of farmer's mindset of you're here to plant seeds, cultivate, water, build relationships,
correct,
and then you reap what you sow, right? But too many times the sales guys, those people that are real rigid about, this is how you do it, they come into these networking groups wanting to sell you right away, the hunter's mindset, right? Like, hey, you're my target. No. It should be, teach me what you're doing. Dude, talk to me about your values, your core values, do what you're doing, right? Kind of build your audience slowly by showing them who you are, and slowly, once you start getting kind of that pipeline, right, of people that are like, oh man, this guy's really good, this guy's genuine. I think people see more value in that, and especially in real estate, that's like a natural thing for you, I feel too, because it's a huge investment. Obviously, you're working with people that are going to spend tons of money, and they relying on someone to hold them by the hand.
Correct.
And I'm glad that's been a good fit for you. I mean, this industry, ups and downs, and you have to kind of have a stomach for it. Kyle, just so you know, you have to have a stomach for it.
Yeah. Well, and he's seen the last couple of weeks has been crazy, but the reason that Kyle came on board was because he was ready to make a change in his life, but in order for me to grow something, or not just me, but in order for something to grow and for me to serve more people, I have to be able to scale a business. Sure. And you can't do everything on your own. And we've talked about this. So I don't see it as like I'm getting more freedom. I see it like I get to serve more people now.
Right.
And I get to do it in a way where I can train someone and help someone, and he can shadow me to a way. If he likes doing it the Chris way, or whatever you want to call it,
right,
this is the highest level of service we can give someone. So if I can duplicate him out there, we're only serving more people in a really good way. So for me, it's like, let's just serve more people really at a higher level, not he's a sales guy, I can make money off him, like that. That can be real estate sometimes.
Well, and the thing, like, I think we're kind of in the same boat. I've been doing this on my own for 17 years now, and I have core values. I have the way I feel people need to be treated. Like I'm very service minded for sure. And but here in the past few months, the more I start to do this and maybe connect more with others and network, I find that I love it, man. I love just, my biggest goal is just to promote and help others, honestly. But the problem is it takes away from your business.
100%.
And you need, someone to still run it, right?
Yep.
And even though I'm been doing it for a while, doesn't mean I can just let it go.
Correct.
But what I do want to do, because I still have goals, I still want to, keep doing this for another 20, 30 years or however old, I don't care. But I just need to scale up and find people. Yep. And what's it's helping me do, though, too, is reevaluate, not necessarily my core values, but kind of like to re-engage with my mission, right? What's the mission of my business? I'm starting to read this book called Traction, which you probably heard.
I haven't.
It's just started, but it's, oh my God, it's good. And to just kind of reset almost, right? And you're talking about someone that's 17 years into doing a business. And the one thing that I want to try to encourage people or any other entrepreneurs, because I know some people are getting into business at an early age, 30, 32 years old. And they're kind of asking me questions, right? And I'll share my experiences. Man, I may not know all the answers. No. It's worked for me in a sense. I've been blessed. God's always provided. Can I do it better? Absolutely, right? And this is helping me learn more things, right, to get it better, right? So I never want to stop learning, growing. If you get to that point, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, to each his own. Maybe you can get to a point of complacency, but that's not for me. Yep. I always want to try to grow, and I think the mission, really, the more you grow, the more you can help people.
Correct.
The more you can impact. Correct. And change people's lives in a better way.
Yep.
And that's what motivates me right now. And being able to hire more people, though, now it's like, again, reevaluating my core values. Let's put it on paper. Let's get it reset, and then let's go.
Correct.
And
that's awesome, man.
No, and listen, like I said, hanging around business leaders like you helps me, and I know, faith for me and my relationship with God has really helped, and has been able to open a lot of doors for me, and I'm sure for you too. Yeah. I mean, there's game changing moments that I always like to ask some of my friends. Share with me a moment in your time where, if it wasn't for this, you wouldn't be here. And some people have them right off the top of their head, and I don't know if you've got any you could share. But sometimes God comes in and into your life, and you don't even know how or what, but if it wasn't for that, do you have any of those?
Yeah. So I mean, you can look back and see trajectories, right? Like, I was going here, and then this happened, and I chose this or this. I didn't even choose it; it just happened to me, and then things changed. I think for me, I started out of college I went to A&M and graduated. I was class of 98, graduated in 99 because, of course, the victory lap. You can't just do everything in 4 years. But I started as a financial advisor for Northwestern Mutual, and I did for almost about 10 years. Towards the end of it, I was pretty stressed out. I was pretty depressed. I really don't care that I'm saying this because it's true, but I had done a really poor job of paying my taxes. And so I started at 22 years old. Like, I don't know anything.
Sure.
No one told me, or no one held my hand, and I'm not blaming anyone else, but no one said, hey, I'm going to make sure you do this. When you're a business owner, it's all on you. So the first year, I filed an extension, right? And then nothing happened. I was like, oh. No, okay. This is like, so I was stupid. I was dumb. I was immature. I was trying to make it. I was 22 telling people what to do with their money. I mean, think about that. Like, I did okay, but it wasn't making so much money that I could, figure it all out. So I was trying to keep up with all my friends who had jobs, who were traveling or whatever. And some months I'd make nothing. Some months, quarters I'd make zero. And then sometimes I'd make like $20,000. And what did I do? You think you should, deserve this and deserve that. So fast forward 8 years. Of filing an extension.
The same one?
Well, yeah, for the year before. But, at some point, the IRS is going to figure you out, right? Sure. And I'm like, wow, this is like a racket. So I walked around, I'd say from like 2004 to 2007, I walked around really, really scared and depressed because I felt like someone was coming after me, if that makes sense. Right. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I also was too ashamed to open up to anyone to admit it. I felt like I was living a double life, whatever, right? And so the IRS sent a letter to my office, and my office manager saw it, and they're like, this is a big deal because you're in financial services. You can't have this. So I basically took a leave of absence, and I joined the Army.
Wow.
Yeah, and I enlisted in the Army.
That's how you paid back your money?
Well, sort of. Yeah. I really paid back the money that I owed, which was in the tune of about $85,000.
Holy cow.
At 20-something years old or 28 years old. I got on a 5-year payment plan. So right when I got out of basic training, I basically got a job. So I quit. I started doing medical sales. I didn't know you were in the
military.
Yeah. I started doing medical sales.
Wow.
So I was in the Army Reserve, and I had to I told my wife while we were engaged. So I was already paying it off. We had met. She didn't know this about me, but when you start to get close to getting married, you got to tell her everything. Yeah. So we basically, the last 3 years of it, we paid it off together or what have you. But I was like $1,500 a month for 5. It was crazy or whatever it was. It was close to $2,000 a month. Wow. But there was people that said settle. You can file bankruptcy. Sure. But I had so much guilt, if you will. Right. I said, well, that's not the right thing because I'm not bankrupt. I'm going to pay it back. So I got on a payment plan, paid interest and everything. So I paid a lot of money back, but I felt really good about doing it. I felt like that was what I needed to do. God basically was like, dude, you got to pay this back. Well, you're not skirting out of this thing.
Well, and that's the probably biggest sense of relief once that's done, right?
Getting found out was probably one of the biggest sense of relief ever. Right. And so it's not fun.
Right.
And I had to, join the military at 32 years old. It was weird. Right.
Yeah.
But then going into healthcare sales, starting to make an actual paycheck every 2 weeks. And then I was really good at it. Right. And then I started making, $85,000, $100,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is nice. My debts are paid, whatever. Right. I think that was probably one of the more pivotal moments. I mean, I was super depressed. I didn't tell anyone. It got bottled up. And luckily that letter came. Otherwise, I mean, I got to a point where I basically contemplated, don't know if I want to be on this earth anymore.
Right.
Because it's not worth living if I feel like this all the time. So depression, suicidal thoughts, those things were absolutely real.
Wow.
And and so that was a big pivotal moment in my life where, exposing everything to the light and having it come out, not fun, super painful and super embarrassing in all kinds of ways.
Right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, man, super needed.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of had a similar situation in my 20s as well, because when I started I started at basically 20 years old in this industry, and was in a partnership with a family member, and which lasted about 10, 12 years. Everything was good up until when I went off my own. Up
until it wasn't.
Up until I wanted to go off on my own. But in the 20s, mid 20s, man, I was making quite a bit of money, but I didn't have, to your point, someone to mentor me. Like, what do you do with this money? Like, what do you do with all these? Do you invest? No one's like, hey, put this away, buy real estate, invest. And huge lessons learned, man. And even to this day, everything happens for a reason, and I don't regret that season, that period, because I definitely grew and matured, and I got to a point where I got in the hole, got caught up, got it all paid out last week. I mean, no, kidding. But it is the worst feeling, and when I went off on my own, especially, the thing that was hard was that I didn't have the reserves, the money, the capital. Yeah. I literally just started off again with nothing at 32 years old. And at this time, my third son was born, but I knew I had to just do something, not different, but beyond my own, control my own destiny, if you will. But my regrets were like in the 20s, I just wasted so much money, did invest. And for me, the good news is that it allowed me to learn, and this is biblical in the sense where, I learned to live with a lot, and I also learned how to live with a little.
100%.
And man, and the biggest supporter in my life has always been my wife. And even when I decided to go off on my own, she was, whatever you think, I trust you, whatever you want to do. And I've always been the type to just jump out and just figure it out. And but she had my back, man, and I knew I was going to do it. I knew the guy that I know up there was going to take care of me, and he's been blessing me ever since. And the one thing that I do want to do with my kids is I've encouraged them, like, at an early age, hey, let's put some money away, let's save, and it's just our parents, or at least my parents, is from a different era.
It wasn't really a discussion,
right? Well, my family wasn't wealthy, but they're the most generous people.
Yep.
That's where for me, I learned, my father, my mom, they'll give you the shirts off their back, right? But maybe the mindset of saving and investing wasn't there. But you learn through that, right? You live through that, and those are kind of God's tests that He puts to you to let's see if you can figure this one out or get through it.
100%.
It only makes you stronger, obviously, and it helps you in some. My goal too is like with kids, and your kids growing up as well. I never want to kind of clear that road for them, right? I want them to get through their obstacles as well. But it's hard, right? Because you're right there, and you want to make sure, like, hey, don't touch this or don't touch that stove. But sometimes you gotta have those experiences.
It's tough as a parent to and I think of our Heavenly Father, and I'm like, He's not helicopter dad on me.
Right.
He's let me kind of do my thing, and He's given me a book of instructions, and He's given me, wisdom to know the difference between things. But, so when I fall, like, I'll be okay. Like, I made a mistake, and I have to remind myself of that with my kids. 'Cause you're right. Physically, I want to like shield them from actual harm, like playing outside by yourself. I'm like, all right, I think I listen to too many like murder podcasts. So I'm like, I can just imagine the van pulling up and taking my son, whatever, right? And I'm the worst dad ever. So, but we grew up, I don't know, we ran around the neighborhood for like 5 hours and
come home at 9.
Parents never cared.
I don't even know if my mom or dad knew I was gone actually at the time.
Yeah. And it was just like when it was dark is when you came home, right? So I don't know, it's just a different age, but the trust as a parent now to trust that they're really God's kids. They're really his kids.
Right.
I'm just here, like they're my physical kids, but they're his. They belong to him. I'm here to steward them until they get old.
I think the responsibility with today's culture and the kids is really belongs to us because, we want to blame the kids for everything, but we're the parents, right? And, and my goal for me is like, hey, I need to raise young, respectful men, right? And so that's just part of me also trying to be a good example, and that's really what it comes down to, and that's my duty as a father, right? And obviously with your 2 kids growing 100%. Up, 100%. So it's hard. I know we were talking about just these challenges and stuff that come into our lives, but you're never going to get strong if you don't go through them. So
and you have a choice to how you respond to things. It's like you're not automatically just going to get strong,
right?
Because you could just say, I'm the victim here.
Right.
And this woe is me, and look how life has treated me, and that's not fair. Or you could say, hey, it is what it is. What do I do about it now? What is my choice? This morning, my son is going to Airtopia with another boy from his school, and the other parents are taking him. And my big thing with them is like, do you have what you need right now? Because we're about to do these 4 things like over the next 17 hours. Do you have everything you need, right? Yes. Okay. And I've let him like mess up. I know they don't have certain things and whatever. So he doesn't have his Airtopia socks. I don't know if you know about the socks, but they're these grippy socks and you can't wear any other socks. It's a whole racket, man. Anyways, so we were driving and downtown to go to school, and I said, hey, do you have your socks? Oh, no. And he's 8, so he doesn't know. He's not going to remember real well. And I go, well, what do we do now? And he was like, I don't know. And I go, well, let's talk about your options. Like, tell me your options. I don't know. I'm like, okay, Sam. And I'm like, well, option 1, what could you do about the socks? I could buy new ones. I was like, okay, that's one option. So then he started thinking, and I said, what are your options? And I go, what do you think the best solution is? You get the socks from the house. I was like, okay, well, ask me. And so he was like, Daddy, can you please get me the socks? I was like, I got you, but so I was like, when stuff happens to us, we have to stop and go, well, what are our choices?
Start assessing it.
Just what are our choices? What do we do?
Right.
Yeah. So with the tooth, with whatever, I'm not in the best shape right now, and I'm just like, okay, I can't get too down on myself. Right. What do I do today?
Right.
What do I do now? Like, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what happened. Just it's over.
How was your recovery with your? I know you said you had some issues with your spine or your elbow.
So I have like a pinched nerve. It's gotten way better. I actually haven't thought about it in a bit. My biggest issue, I have some sort of arthritis or something in my right elbow. I just need to basically go to either do acupuncture, do something more of the alternative route, because everything else is when a doctor tells you to either take medicine, get surgery, or lay off of it completely. And like none of those I want to do. So I have to look at other ways. So it's more of a mental. I'm a little down because I don't get to play golf, and I can't do a push-up. I can't do a pull-up just because my elbow is so bad. So it's like limits me on what I can do physically. So
this is I'm asking because would be the only time I could beat you in golf.
If I didn't play, actually, I would shoot a 0 and I would beat you.
So it's funny because I think you guys introduced me to the animal game, right? The animal game with you hit the camel,
snake, and all that.
Oh my God, bro! So the guys that I play with, and we have the animal game. We have. We have a spreadsheet that we have to keep track of and of all these little side bets, which makes it fun, And that's
that is so much. And when we went to Vegas and played, and I loved organizing it and getting it. It was probably like a couple too many things we had to follow.
Sure,
but whatever you learn. And some of them don't like doing any of it. Some are like, I don't want to count putts, and I'm like. so that at the end of the day, everyone has to be on the same page. Everyone has to want to do all the things. Right. Otherwise, it just...
You should organize it again. I know you can't play, but just go with us and just organize it and just kind of be in charge.
Just be the organizer. Do all the work. I will take a fee. I'll take a fee for that. I'm sure you guys will pay.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was a super fun trip. Yeah. I love those trips. A couple of those guys we still go on. Right. We still go to Pinehurst. We went to different places. Nice. But I miss it, man. I miss it so much.
Well, the thing with golf is that you can be 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. God willing, you'll heal up here quick. But it's one of the things that makes it fun because you can still get away no matter how old you are, and you don't have to, try to pipe it down the middle all the time and kill it like I try to do. And you could just, I have some people that I play with that are a little older, will just hit
right down the middle.
Yeah, every time. And they're shooting their age, like at 80, 83. Dude. I'm like, well, how do you do this? It's like, that's crazy.
Just get that little white ball in the hole. That's all.
It's one of those sports, though, right? It's like one of those, mental. I learned to kind of, once I realized, first of all, I'm not that good enough to be upset about it. Like just go. Well, and it's also who you hang out with, who you play with. Because if you play around other kind of average players like I do, then you get to enjoy it and just have fun and kind of roll with it. And a few times that I played with like really, really, really good players, it's like you get too nervous and they're just like, it's fun.
Or you compare yourself and you think, well, I'm not that good. You get more nervous over shots because you think they care, and they don't. They don't care. I've played with Kyle, and he's beaten me plenty of times.
Oh, Kyle.
Yeah. But actually, I met him because he knew my brother first, and then he caddied for me in 2 years ago in the San Antonio City Amateur. So I signed up for the City Amateur. He played basically a bunch of college kids, and then other people that are decent. And it was very nerve-wracking. You're talking about like, they call your name on the tee box and everyone's watching. Not everyone. There's like 3 people watching, but it's way more nerve-wracking than just going to play with your buddies. Yeah. And Kyle caddied for me. And then the next year, which was last year, we both played in it together. And we had caddy. His brother caddied for him, and I hired a caddy. So we've done all that. It's super fun. We just really love that competition part, making sure everything counts. You're a little nervous, things like that.
So in your real estate business, where do you see yourself here in the near future? What's your biggest goal with it? Are you trying to scale up more? Or?
Yeah. So I've been back and forth with setting goals because I often set them and they're my ideas and they're what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't really consult God. And I'm getting to a point where I think my goal is to do what I like to do. So Kyle coming on board, anyone else coming on board, the goal would be to eliminate me doing things that I'm not really passionate about, nor do I have the talents for. So getting to a point where I'm just doing X, right? And if I do X really well and I help Kyle get to do what he's really good at, and I bring on John Doe or Susie Q, they do what they're good at, will serve a lot more people, and they'll be in a place where they feel very comfortable about their job, and they feel like they have a purpose. Then God will provide everything that I want, but I hesitate to put, I want to make X this year, because that's it's kind of I have some needs. I have definite basic needs. We have a family budget, right? I could handle the family, the basics. I just, when you start saying, I'm going to make $250,000, well, why? Why does Chris need to make that? And I'm more like, what do you want me to do, God? Okay, God, you want me to hire someone so I need to do more content. I need to do more things. So that's what I'm trying to get in tune more. And maybe there's a balance between setting some sort of goal and listening to God. Sure. But I have always just done I think I want to be $1 million, whatever. Right. And when it doesn't go your way, you're just disheartened and you're just disillusioned and you're just well, I'm a loser and I didn't meet my goal. Right. And I'd rather what do you need me to do today, God? Kind of thing. So I'm in this little influx journey, but bringing Kyle on, possibly bringing on other people, it would just be us getting presented, hey, this is a glaring hole in your business that you need to fill, whether it's full-time person, whether it's a virtual assistant, whether it's an editor for whatever, right? Do you do your own editing on this?
Not yet.
Okay.
So, do you know a guy?
Well, there's plenty of editors.
Sure.
So, the thing is, why would you do that
if
that's not your skill set?
Right.
And it would take you hours and hours and hours when you could go talk to a customer or have more podcasts,
sure.
right? So you just have to say, like, what helps make the biggest impact, whether that's financial or whether it's just like, this is what I really love doing,
right.
and this is what I'm good at, and this helps humanity more. I'll do more of that. How do I figure out the other parts of the business?
That's part of what Traction talks about right off the bat, is having the right people in the right seats of the bus, right? And,
Correct.
Your strengths are one thing, and don't, try to bang your head on your weaknesses. Find the right people for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been learning slowly, but too many times we try to do too many things. And
because it takes time to go hire that person to train them, so right now we're in the middle of Kyle jumping in,
right?
Me training him at the same time. And like, it's like, now I'm working double,
right?
But I'm only going to do that for so long until he's like, I got this,
right?
Kind of thing. So, it's a process, but I do know this is the right move. It's something I've thought about for a while. He's thought about it for a while. So, we're in a good spot.
One of the things that I want to really thank you for as well, because you, and I always talk about circles and having people in a circle. We all have different circles, whether it's a workout group, a business group, friends. And there's very few people that kind of intersect circles. And I feel that you have been one of those people that have inspired me, not only in faith, but in business and just your creativity and being a good human, right? But you also have helped me create a circle with God. And that's the most important one. And I'm attributing that to you because I've always been a faithful person to begin with, and I've always gone to church and felt like I've been a godly man. But up until recently, that I've actually been focusing more on this inner circle with myself and God, and going back to your point with having these goals of it's not about money, man. It's your priorities are always going to be your family, your kids, your wife, and your health, of course. And but whenever you start changing your mindset, a lot of times, even when I was younger and even here recently, it's like a lot of your emotions may be dictated based on how much money you have in your account. You go up, you have down, and then you can be like this, grumpy guy or happy guy, or like all because of a dollar amount in your business account. And I feel like now, although it's important to have that, but it's like it's not controlling my mind to worry about. If I feel like I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, treating my customers right, servicing them, all that's going to come, right? Helping others, promoting others. And there's just different, I don't want to say sense of peace, but just purpose. And I've, not that I've learned that, but I feel a little more intimate now with my relationship with God here more recently.
Good. That's awesome.
And I thank you for that, man. I really do. And I know things happen for a reason, and God always opens these doors and puts you in front of other people. Yeah. And we need more Chris Galvans in this world. No, for real. We do, man. You have such an infectious spirit that, you just, again, kind of finishing off with how I started was you make people feel comfortable about themselves. You care about people. You have like a servant's heart, you're willing to go above and beyond for friends, obviously for clients. And I just really admire that about you. And
thank you, bro.
Obviously, if someone's looking for a real estate agent, I will always say, I know a guy.
Thank you.
But more importantly, if someone says, do you know someone that has a heart for God? I will say, I know a guy.